All right, guys, welcome back. Okay, today I want to talk about creating that classic sound, that chiptune sound, that 8-bit style music. So, thank you guys for checking out this episode. Of course, come back every day. We've got something new happening very often. So, let's dive into what we need here in FL Studio Mobile to get into making these classic sounds, essentially. Okay, so let's talk about some of the key features that I personally use, and I'm sure you will be using the same tools. Guys, if you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section. I want to know what tools you guys use. So for making 8-bit tunes, these classic sounds, let's talk about it. Highly compressed audio. Okay, a lot of the sound chips from before, let's say Commodore 64, maybe NES, Sega Genesis, let's see, Game Boy, NEC, PC Engine, for those who know that stuff, arcade, and etc. There have been many different types of sound chips that use these highly compressed, super maybe triangle waves, square waves, noise generators, as well, as some DPCM sampling, but that's super compressed. So we're not talking about super high quality audio, but at the same time, there's just so much character in this sound, right? Okay, guys, if it's your first time here, of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all of the good stuff, right? Check out the description. I've got some cool links there, and we'll talk about it as we continue. Join the Discord as well. Okay, we'll talk about that as well. Okay, so at the time, years ago, 2, 3, 4 decades ago, 4 decades ago or more, sound chips didn't allow the volume of some channels to be adjusted. So it was either on or off, right? This is like everything was a lead sound, I'm kind of joking, but a lot of the sounds had to be lead sounds in the sense that they were like, it's either on or off, right? So a lot of cool arpeggios, a lot of cool scales up and down of these nice melodies, cool sounds, some of them deep sounds for those of you who like, let's say, Ninja Gaiden and things of that nature. I love those tunes. I love a lot of the Konami tunes. A lot of those early tunes were really, they just really touch the heart, and they bring back so many cool memories, right? Another quick thing I want to mention is that echoes would essentially not be possible at that time with some of those sound chips. What you'd have to do actually is to duplicate the sound and then lower the volume, okay? So today what we're listening to is one that I made purely with FL Studio Mobile plugins, of course, okay? So we're going to start with Transistor bass. The next one, probably maybe the strongest one here, would be the 3X or 3X oscillator. Okay, I also use some SuperSaw, some MiniSynth, and maybe you could possibly get away with some of the sound effects or the exports used in the direct wave sampler or DW sampler, okay? Now, of course, we're using a grid, so that really helps a lot. Using a grid helps a lot, right? Because, I mean, in all actuality, creating music or composing music for some of these classic 80s games or, arcade classics from even before, yeah, a lot of those games, all of those games were essentially made using some type of grid system to compose, right? So we're not trying to get off the grid. We're trying to keep it as tight to the grid as we possibly can. Another quick, cool couple of things I could mention that you could use could be distortion, where you can use the bit crush to lower the resolution of sounds. And also you want to be mindful to lower the polyphony of a lot of these sounds. So let's dive in. Why not, shall we? Let's start with the very, very top, okay? I went in with a classic square, as you see. Super simple, but at the same time, a bit of a guiding melody, guiding little rhythm for this one. Now, a couple of cool things that you can do, and we'll talk about this in another video I've got upcoming as well. You can always click more, and then you can always double down or double up, right? But we're going to focus on mono poly sounds, okay? Mono sounds. We're not going to focus too much on polyphony and multiple sounds. You'll see what I mean, multiple voices. So there we go. We've got a classic square. So again, triangle sounds, triangle waves, and square waves, as well as noise generators. That is where a lot of these sounds come from. So let's go into it. Let's go in a little deeper. Let's look at what we got here, right here. Check this out from the MiniSynth. I thought this was a pretty cool sound. Underbit is the name. Super simple. But as you see, voices mode, I changed it from poly to mono, And I do that across the board, just in case some of these sounds have additional maybe chord structures within them, or they just allow for multiple notes to be played at once. I keep it mono simply because of the limitations of the tools that were used, 4 or 5 decades ago. I'm just doing quick math. Yeah, that we didn't have such extreme amounts of tracks to work with. So we're working with mono sounds, not trying to get multiple voices. Here's another sound that I thought was great. It's also MiniSynth. It is, let me keep this one going so we have a little bit. So we have a little bit of extra going with it, but you can hear the sound's actually called Gamer. And again, I just changed this to mono. Another quick thing I would also mention is to lower the release. Keep it all the way down. No guarantees, but essentially, some of these sounds could have long releases, right? And it just may not necessarily be realistic to what we're creating here with these 8-bit style sounds or these chip tunes, right? So keeping the release super low and the attack super low as well is what we're going to get, is how we're going to achieve. These are some of the elements that we use to achieve that 8-bit style sound. Let's continue on. Okay, another MiniSynth. Okay. And as you see, mono again, release is down, attack is down. Effects are off. That's another one I forgot to mention. The effects are off. The mix is off. As you see, mix 0. I'm not trying to add any extra distortion, maybe a little bit in this case, but not too much extra distortion or chorus and delay, things like that. Like I said already, if you're trying to create delays, when they were trying to create delays in those earlier days with some of those classic games, they had to duplicate the sound and lower the volume. Guys, I've been doing that stuff for years before some of this software that we use today, which is absolutely fantastic. Let's continue on. So here's some chords, right? But they're not exactly chords. I'll tell you why. Here we go. Voice is 4. We'll just drop that to 1. Keep it simple, like I said. We're not trying to add 3 or 4 different voices to create this robust sound. We want these sounds to be simple and raw. Let's continue on. Here's a game bell. I thought this one was kind of unique, right? I mean, I'm kind of going with the name, guys, but you can clearly tell it's got that crunchy texture to it, okay? So here we go. Let's continue on. That's a SuperSaw, right? So we don't want to add too much extra release or any type of attack to raise the attack or to raise the release. We want this to be super simple and very short and very deliberate, okay? So here we go. Here's another 3X oscillator. And this particular one is a square. Now, I want to dive into 3X oscillator because there are certain functions that you can do within it to create a bit more of that authentic sound, okay? So as you see, we have oscillator 1, 2, and 3. These are all set to custom for this particular one, but I really liked it because it is that square wave sound, okay? But we're going to get into some other 3X oscillators that I used where I changed these and I customized them. I may have chosen one of these default sounds or presets, but I actually dove in a little deeper and started making some adjustments. So the names won't necessarily reflect my personal adjustments, okay? Until we get down to the bottom of this one. Let's continue on. Oh, check out this bass right here. Okay. Nice. Nice. Now take a look. Triangle wave. Triangle wave. All 3 are set to triangle waves, okay? Again, these are the sounds that we used a lot. And as you see here, I used a little bit of release here for the volume because if I didn't, actually the sound would be cutting and it had a very abrupt finish. So I had to increase the release to make sure that it didn't keep cutting and cutting and cutting. You guys will know what I mean if you dive in, okay? Let's keep going. I used 2 waves here, 2 sounds for the bass line. So one was all triangles, as you see. The 3 oscillators are set to triangle right here. You can choose from sine, triangle, square, such and such, as well as noise, which we'll get into some noise after. And then for this one, I chose 3 squares. And so I just essentially layered the 2 of these together to create that and did some panning as well. But to create that, I guess, thicker, robust bass line, that pulsing kind of bass line that we have going for this track. And then down here, I started to get into more sounds. Listen to these, some more noise, okay? And as well, let me open this one. So that's my drum track. Very simple, no actual bass drum, but I liked this GMS, this Groove Machine synth sound. It's called Zero Damage. I thought it was really, really cool. I just loved it. I didn't really change it. I just thought it sounded very crunchy and chiptune E, you know? So I left it, didn't touch it. I didn't adjust any of these. You could go through and mess about as you wish. But guys, I really just liked this sound, right? Let's dive into the 3X oscillator. Okay, so noise. I just did noise. This is simply noise. Even if you play up and down the keyboard, this is just gonna be noise. Listen, as I play the keyboard, it's just the same pitch of noise. But I thought that was a pretty good way to be kind of like a snare drum and kind of help to create the rhythm. And then the last piece I added to it was a hi-hat that I got from a SuperSaw. It just said hats high. And let's solo that one. I just liked it. Let's hear it all together. Okay. And then just to top it off, I just added a little bit of compression just to control it, but nothing really. Guys, that is simply it. I thought these tools were very unique. Now, a lot of times in the past, a lot of the other tools that people are using these days can have also within them different sound engines, again, whether it be the NEC, sound engine, the PC engine, NES, Game Boy, Sega Genesis, arcade, you name it, right? I just know that with Image Line's work with FL Studio Mobile, there is definitely a way to create something that sounds and feels authentic, even though it may not necessarily be the exact same sound engine. It's still something that you and I can use to create some very cool chiptunes, as well as just simply overall 8-bit sounding music. So guys, thank you for checking this one out. Obviously, I appreciate you guys. All the comments have been lighting me up. It's amazing. I love it. I got a lot of inspiration from some of the comments as well, so I'm really looking forward to diving into some of those requests and such. Just hold tight, stick around, join the Discord, guys, like I said, because that's where I'll be dropping some of these samples. So join the Discord. If you guys need any help, please leave a comment. I know Discord, the word itself is already troublesome, but the Discord's pretty simple. Jump in the Winning with Blends channel, verify, go to the verify channel, and maybe I'll even do a live very soon, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Justin Blends again, Winning with Blends. All the best to you guys. All right, take it easy.